If you spend enough nights with a set of headphones clamped over your ears, you start to hear things that aren't there. Or at least, that's what the others say. They joke that radio men go strange because they listen too long to silence and static, waiting for words that might never arrive. You didn't think that would happen to you. Your war wasn't fought in open fields or ruined streets. It was fought in a concrete box under the ground, in a room lit by two bare bulbs and the dull, steady glow of vacuum tubes inside the radio set. While other men stared through rifle sights, you stared at dials. While they learned to read terrain, you learned to read the way static shifted just before a real signal broke through. The bunker was small. A single entrance down a set of concrete steps, a short corridor, then the radio room. One table, one chair, one large set, one map pinned to the wall with colored pins marking units whose faces you'd never see. In the next chamber, a generator thumped steadily, feeding power through cables that snaked along the ceiling like thick, patient vines. At night, it was just you. The shift began at 2200. You arrived early out of habit, even though there was no competition for the chair. The day operator, Graf, signed off with a nod, handed you the logbook, and stretched his back until something in it cracked. "Nothing special," he said. "Supply convoy checked in. Command repeated the same orders 3 times. Static's bad tonight, storm somewhere." He hesitated, then added, "You get tired? Pour coffee on your boots. Works faster than drinking it." You smirked. "Tried that once. Boots smelled like burnt beans for a week." He left. You sat. Headphones on, hands on the controls, eyes on the clock. The routine was simple. Maintain the frequency, log incoming messages, acknowledge what needed acknowledging, reroute what needed rerouting. There was comfort in the structure. In a war where everything above the ground shifted constantly, something about staying locked to a fixed band of sound felt like an anchor. For the first hour, all you heard was the usual. Bursts of coded transmissions from units at the front, confirmation messages from artillery, a request for medical support you passed along uphill, short, clipped exchanges between voices who were too tired to be anything but efficient. You wrote it all down in the log. Time, origin, recipient, content in shorthand. Your handwriting was steady. Your breathing matched the quiet thrum of the generator. Around midnight, the storm Graf mentioned started to make itself known. The static changed. It thickened like someone had poured sand into the air between you and the voices. A low, distant growl crept into the headphones. Not loud, not threatening, but constant. You made small adjustments. A tap of the dial, a careful twist of the tuning knob. The signal sharpened, then blurred, then sharpened again. That was when you first heard it. Not a call sign, not a coded sequence, just a fragment, a human voice buried under noise. "Anyone? Copy?" You sat up straighter. "Say again," you said automatically, though you knew they couldn't hear you yet. You checked the meter. The signal was weak, barely registering. You fine-tuned, chasing it through the interference. "Repeat, convoy, hit, coordinates." The rest dissolved into the storm. You reached for the logbook, pen hovering. "Unidentified transmission," you murmured, writing the time. "Possible friendly, weak." Protocol was clear. Unknown voices might be attempts to trick you into giving away positions. The enemy listened too. They knew your habits, they knew your bands. You were supposed to ignore anything that didn't announce itself properly. But there was something in the voice, not the words, but the tone, that made it hard to dismiss. It sounded like someone talking around broken teeth. You adjusted again, hunting. "If anyone hears, we're pinned, road, burning." The static surged, swallowing the rest. Your hand hovered over the switch that would put your own transmitter live. Don't do it. That was the first thought. You heard it in the voice of every instructor who drilled the protocol into your skull. You are not here to rescue ghosts. You are here to follow procedure. You lifted your hand away from the switch and instead wrote more in the log. Unverified distress. No ID, no call sign. It could have ended there, but it didn't. 10 minutes later, the voice came back. Same band, same weakness, same tone. Any station, this is convoy unit. There was a burst of numbers, half devoured by interference. Hit on the road east, vehicles burning, wounded, taking fire from treeline. You pressed the headphones tighter. Convoy unit could have been anyone, your side, theirs. A trap, a genuine plea. There was no way to know. You checked the map on the wall. The pins told their own story. A supply route ran east along a narrow road that hugged the forest line. If a convoy coming along that road had been hit, they'd be exactly where the voice seemed to place them. You were not supposed to respond, but you were supposed to pass information upward. You grabbed the field phone that connected the radio room to the command dugout 2 levels above. The duty officer answered after 3 rings. His voice was thick with fatigue.
Yes, possible distress signal, you said. Weak. Claiming to be a convoy on the eastern road. No call sign. Unverified, he said. Ignore it. There were coordinates, you insisted. Partials only, but they fit the eastern sector. If it's ours, they know the code words, he cut in. If they're not using them, it's not ours. Log it and stay on task. We're not chasing phantoms at midnight because some enemy operator can do a good impression of a dying man. The line clicked off. You looked at the radio set, at the glowing tubes, at the dancing needle on the meter. Your chest felt tight, as if the room had shrunk a little. Another fragment came through. Losing fuel. Can't move. Please. You put your pen down. There is a particular kind of silence that exists only inside a pair of headphones when you mute your own mic. You hear everything and say nothing. You are present and absent at the same time. You are not there, officially. You are only a device. You lasted 5 more minutes before you broke. You flipped the switch. This is station. You hesitated, then used a vague designation not on any chart. Receiving you. Give location. Over. Static roared, offended. Then the voice snapped into focus as if pulled closer by a hook. Thank God, he said. Road by the forest. 2 bends past the burned farmhouse. Half the truck's gone. We've got wounded in the ditch. We can't move. Are you sending anyone? You glanced at the log as if it might offer an answer. Can't confirm support, you said. Stay on this frequency. Repeat, stay on this frequency. It wasn't what he wanted to hear. It wasn't what you wanted to say. Understood, he replied. There was something like a laugh in the word, but it had no humor in it. We'll try not to die too loudly. The line crackled. Then another noise cut through, sharp, metallic pops that needed no translation. Rifle fire. You resisted the urge to shout something useless down the line. Instead, you did the only thing you could. You wrote everything down. Time, description, location by reference, not numbers, all of it. Then you took the log and the map and climbed. The command bunker was busier now. Radios hissed. Men moved between tables. A lamp swung from the ceiling as someone brushed past it. The duty officer looked up, annoyed. Didn't I tell you? They're under fire, you said, sharper than you meant to. They have wounded. Road east by the burned farmhouse. It matches our own route markers. If we let them get wiped out, the front won't get supplies for days. You didn't talk like that to officers. You knew it. He knew it. The room went a shade quieter. And how do you know this? He asked. You could have lied. You could have said you pieced it together from intercepted traffic, that you'd heard something elsewhere. But lies in war spread like mold and rot the structures meant to hold everything up. I broke protocol, you said. I responded. Silence. Behind you, someone muttered. The officer's jaw tightened. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, he sighed. Wake the reserve platoon, he said to a runner. Send a scout car first. If it's a trap, they pull back. If it's ours, they'll see. The runner sprinted away. The officer turned to you. Back to your set, he said. And if command asks, I will personally say I authorized your little breach of the rules. Which means if this goes wrong, we fall together. Understood? You nodded slowly. Yes, sir. You returned to the radio room. The voice came back twice more, each time weaker. You told him only one thing. Hold on, someone's coming. You didn't know if it was true. You said it anyway. An hour passed, then another. Finally, a new signal crackled through. Call sign confirmed. Your own. Scout car. Contact made with convoy, the new voice said. They're ours. Took a bad hit. Multiple wounded. Some dead. Situation stabilizing. Bringing survivors back. Road is blocked, but salvageable. You let out a breath you hadn't realized you'd been holding for 2 hours. You logged it all. When your hand stopped shaking, you realized you were smiling. Not a big, victorious grin, just a small, weary curve of the mouth that said maybe, just this once, stubbornness had done something good. 2 days later, the duty officer stopped by the radio room. You were right, he said. They were one of ours. Wrong code sheets. Mix-up in supply. Their radio man died in the first hit. Driver didn't know the protocols. He paused. Command isn't happy, he added. They don't like anyone adjusting the rules on their own. You swallowed. Understood. But the line got its fuel on time, he went on. And no one likes the idea of leaving men in a ditch because of an error in a ledger. He looked at you for a long moment. Next time, be smarter about how you're wrong. But if you hear voices like that again, don't let them drown in static without thinking twice. Years later, when the war had shrunk into stories told at tables and in bars, people asked you if you'd seen much action. You shook your head. No, you said. You were just a radio man. The others did the fighting. But on some nights, lying awake in a quiet room, you still heard that first broken fragment in your ears. Anyone? Copy? And you knew that for at least one small corner of the war, the difference between men being lost and men coming home wasn't a bullet, or a medal, or an order. It was a choice made in a concrete room, with nothing but static for company, and a hand that reached for the switch when every rule said to leave it alone.